Prince Harry has been criticized for his attacks on Camilla, with the Queen Consort's family breaking their silence over the verbal onslaught from the Duke. Camilla's son, Tom Parker Bowles, aimed at Harry for branding Her Majesty a villain who had played the long game to become Queen. Welcome to the Fact Check channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Prince Harry has further exacerbated a war of words within the British royal family, accusing them of being complicit in the pain and suffering inflicted on his wife, calling his stepmother a dangerous villain and claiming his father had not been ready for parenthood. In two dramatic interviews spanning almost 120 minutes on British and US television, the Duke of Sussex claimed his family members had helped to trash his and wife Meghan's reputations, forcing them to move to California 2 years ago, and claimed they had shown no willingness to reconcile. Prince Harry's attacks on his stepmother Camilla have been labelled unforgivable by a royal commentator who has worked closely with both members of the royal family. Relations between King Charles and his estranged son Prince Harry have descended to fresh lows owing to Harry's attacks on Charles' wife, Queen Camilla, and friends of the royals now suspect the two will never be reconciled. While many inside the royal circle of trust have long discounted the possibility of Prince William and Harry ever setting aside their differences, there is now similar pessimism in some quarters about the relationship between Harry and his father, the King, who has been left dismayed by Harry's brutal criticism of Camilla in his memoir, Spare. Friends say that Charles was particularly hurt by the assault his son mounted on the character of Camilla in his book. He characterized her as single-mindedly determined to become queen, accused her of sacrificing him on her personal PR altar, and told one interviewer she was dangerous and was prepared to leave bodies in the street in her quest to be queen. Harry wrote in his memoir, Spare, that he had complex feelings about gaining a step-parent who I thought had recently sacrificed me on her personal PR altar. But sticking up for Camilla, Parker Bowles said that his mother had never acted out of malice or plotted for the future. I don't care what anyone says, this wasn't any end game, he told the News Agents podcast. She married the person she loved and this is what happened. And praising his mother for never moaning about royal life, he added, I think anyone would be anxious on an occasion of this sort of importance in terms of the historical. And yes, I think I'd be terrified if I had to sort of walk out wearing ancient robes. She's 75, but you know, it's tough to do it. But she's never complained. You just do it. Get on with it. His admiration for Camilla's never complain attitude comes after months of public criticism from Harry about his time in the royal family. But earlier this week a close friend of the Queen Consort admitted that the Duke of Sussex's media attacks had left her hurt. It's one thing to call your stepmother a bitch privately or in a family argument. But to put it in a book which is catching up with the Bible on sales. I think Harry knew exactly what he was doing, and the result is predictable. Charles loves Camilla. He made her queen. He doesn't react very well to criticism of her. Asked if they were saying that the attacks on Camilla, specifically, had generated a harder attitude towards his son from Charles, the friend of Camilla said, it is a huge part of it. Charles has made it very clear that he loves both his sons, so the door will never be bolted shut. But they are a very obstinate family and nobody is about to be the first to apologize. Charles certainly doesn't believe he has anything to apologize for. The other problem, beyond the memoir itself, seems to be an obstinate refusal on both sides to make their first move in apologizing, or, indeed, accepting there is anything to apologize for. There is no plan for Harry and Charles to meet. There might have been a chance of reconciliation had it not been for the book. But Charles was dismayed and deeply hurt by what Harry said about him and about Camilla in his book. Prince Harry accused Camilla, Queen Consort, of leaking stories about the family to the British media as part of her campaign to rehabilitate her image. His mother Diana famously referred to Camilla as the third person in her marriage to then Prince Charles. He said he hadn't spoken with his brother, Prince William, and his father, King Charles III, for a while, adding their ball is very much in their court when asked about the possibility of a reconciliation. I love every member of my family, despite the differences, so when I see her, we're perfectly pleasant with each other, he said. She's my stepmother. I don't look at her as an evil stepmother. I see someone who married into this institution and has done everything that she can to improve her own reputation and her own image, for her own sake. Buckingham Palace has repeatedly declined to comment on the contents of Prince Harry's forthcoming memoir, which has been the subject of leaks detailing some of his most controversial claims. Prince Harry said both he and his brother, Prince William, had asked the king not to marry Camilla. "We didn't think it was necessary. We thought that it was gonna cause more harm than good, and that if he was now with his person, surely that's enough." But he said the brothers eventually came around to the idea. "We wanted him to be happy. And we saw how happy he was with her." Prince Harry spoke about how his mother was hunted by paparazzi, recalling the traumatic night his father told him Princess Diana had died from injuries sustained in a car crash. "I think about how many hours he'd been awake. And the compassion that I have for him, as a parent having to sit with that for many, many hours, ringing up friends of his, trying to work out, how the hell do I break this to my 2 sons?" Harry said he never wants to find himself having to do the same. "I don't want history to repeat itself. I do not want to be a single dad. And I certainly don't want my children to have a life without a mother or a father." Prince Harry also recalled the events around the death of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, who died on September 8 at Balmoral Castle. The Duke was at a charity event in London when the palace announced that the Queen was under medical supervision. "I asked my brother, I said, what are your plans? How are you and Kate getting up there?" And then, a couple of hours later, all of the family members that live within the Windsor and Ascot area were jumping on a plane together, a plane with 12, 14, maybe 16 seats, he said. "I was not invited." He recalled spending time with the Queen in her bedroom after she had died. "I was happy for her. Because she'd finished life. She'd completed life, and her husband was waiting for her. And the 2 of them are buried together," Prince Harry said. "My brother and I love each other. I love him deeply," the Duke of Sussex said. "There has been a lot of pain between the 2 of us, especially the last 6 years." He added that nothing he has written is ever intended to hurt my family. But it does give a full picture of the situation as we were growing up, and also squashes this idea that somehow my wife was the one that destroyed the relationship between these 2 brothers, Prince Harry said. The book's title of Spare is a reference to an heir and a spare, a saying in the United Kingdom that refers to the need to have a child to inherit an aristocratic title. Harry was next in line to the British throne after William until William's children were born, now his 5th in the line of succession. The strained relationship between the brothers has been a common theme in leaked excerpts from the book and Harry's media interviews, which revealed deep divisions between the siblings. Perhaps the most incendiary revelation to emerge was Prince Harry's claim of a scuffle with the Prince of Wales during an argument over his wife in 2019, as he described while reading in an excerpt of his memoir. Prince Harry said his brother never tried to dissuade him from marrying Meghan, but expressed some concerns and told him, "This is going to be really hard for you," Prince Harry recalled during his interview with Bradby. "I still to this day don't truly understand which part of what he was talking about," Prince Harry continued. Maybe he predicted what the British press's reaction was going to be. The Duke of Sussex also told about his decision to write the book, saying, 38 years of having my story told by so many different people, with intentional spin and distortion felt like a good time to tell on my story and be able to tell it for myself. I'm actually really grateful that I've had the opportunity to tell my story because it's my story to tell." Prince Harry pointed out that he has tried over the last 6 years to resolve his concerns with his family privately. "It never needed to get to this point. I have had conversations, I have written letters, I have written emails, and everything is just, no, this is not what's happening. You are imagining it," he said. "That's really hard to take. And if it had stopped, by the point that I fled my home country with my wife and my son fearing for our lives, then maybe this would have turned out differently. It's hard." The Duke said he wants reconciliation, but first there needs to be some accountability, with respect to his family. Prince Harry has previously blamed the constant media intrusion as a critical stressor for him and his wife that ultimately led to their decision to step down as working members of the royal family in 2021. In a 6-part Netflix documentary released last month, the couple said press attacks, the lack of action from the palace to prevent them, and the couple's increasing suspicions that the royal household was actually feeding the media pushed Meghan to a dark place. "You can't just continue to say to me that I'm delusional and paranoid when all the evidence is stacked up," because I was genuinely terrified about what is going to happen to me. The king is angry and outraged that Harry's aired so many embarrassing and damaging assertions, and it's put him in a terrible position with Camilla, of course, now that she's been dragged into the equation. The royal family might be officially maintaining their long-standing, never complain, never explain rule when it comes to Prince Harry's explosive memoir, Spare, but the anonymous royal sources of the world are chatty as ever. A friend of Prince Harry also claimed that King Charles refused to reciprocate when Prince Harry wished him a Merry Christmas in 2022. A royal tell-all book has revealed that the royal family members are getting fed up with King Charles III's reluctance to reconcile with Prince Harry. Harry and Meghan Markle quit the royal family and moved to California in 2020, but reports claim that they later made efforts to reconnect with the family. Charles, however, refused to budge. It's complex, but there's increasing frustration from some of the wider circle of family members that Charles won't just fix things for the sake of everyone. Harry once asked his father Charles a heartbreaking question after he was asked to leave Frogmore Cottage. He allegedly asked Charles, "Don't you want to see your grandchildren anymore?" He then allegedly begged the king to let him keep the keys to Frogmore Cottage. Harry has lobbed a host of accusations against his family. That includes allegations of Prince William's physical violence against him, Queen Consort Camilla pushing negative stories about Meghan Markle to the press, and even that Kate Middleton was reluctant to share lip gloss with Meghan. But as the media storm continues to gain traction, the royal institution and its members have still not uttered a word, a deliberate attempt to remedy their public image. Thank you for watching.